everyone, and welcome to our first all-female Sports Wired. I'm Amanda Marcatulio here with Allison Mass. Today we're going to talk, about our the game on Saturday against Ole Miss. Give a little recap of the game, talk about our running game, how Coach Mason did, and we'll talk about the atmosphere of LP Field, tailgates, and student section. Next, on to one of our favorite games, odds makers. Next on the women's soccer team, unfortunately losing big in Texas, and finally our lacrosse team switched to the Big East. So, Allison, what do you think of the game?
Just another disappointing showing by the Commodores. They dropped the game 41-3 to the Ole Miss Rebels, and I guess if we want to look at the positives here, we got our first offensive points of the season when Tommy Oppenshaw made a field goal. But besides that, we just did not look strong, really. Bo Wallace he pretty much completed any pass that he wanted to complete. Our passing game was not there at all. Kind of nice to see some consistency at the quarterback spot, but at the same time, if that guy isn't giving you any answers, probably not a long-term solution. So just overall, pretty disappointing. Guess running game was all right, but
gotta
turn around.
Ole Miss scoring on its 7 of its first 8 possessions, that was just rough. Touchdown after field goal after touchdown, we just couldn't stop them. There was really inconsistent defense, was very poor. As you said, Bo Wallace, anything he wanted to complete, it was there. We had Ralph Webb, though, ran pretty well. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, he had picked up 95 yards. Well, he picked up 100, then lost 5, so a net of 95 yards on 18 carries. So he's no Zach Stacy, but we're thinking maybe this is someone the offense can rely on. At the running back spot, we also saw a little bit of Dallas Rivers, but what is really surprising to me is that Jerron Seymour was not back in the lineup at all. We knew that he would miss the first game due to an injury, but Derek Mason made it seem like he'd be back for the second game. I've heard that it was just his practice. He wasn't very good, not as good as the other two, so that's why he didn't receive an opportunity. But right now, in terms of the running game, it's all Ralph Webb.
Right. We really need to pick up our running game. We just lost a lot of composure this game, and we've got, as Mason said, we do have a young team, but I think we're hurting ourselves. That shouldn't be stopping us. Offensively, most importantly, I think we just need to find a quarterback. We got to find someone who's going to really step up and, who's going to have a strong arm, get the ball down the field accurately. I think that's really the next steps for the game this Saturday.
Absolutely. And also, I think that it'd be kind of refreshing to see us take a little bit of, some chances on the offensive side of things. James Franklin was always willing to try something tricky. Maybe it was like an onside kick or something like that. And so far, Carl Durrell has made it known that he is just going to be very conservative in terms of the playbook. What do you think about that?
Yeah, we haven't really seen any trick plays. You're right. Last year, we got some huge scores off of the trick plays, and I think, if our running game's not working, why not give it a shot? So hopefully we can see that coming up soon. But even though the game didn't go so great, the atmosphere at LP Field was awesome. Tailgates for student section. Did you enjoy the tailgate?
I did. It was just really nice to have everyone in one place, and still people formed their own little groups, but you were so near to everyone that you could just kind of jump around, and I thought it just seemed way more inclusive than our typical tailgate style.
I agree. I love that all the students were together, rallied as one, rooting for our doors rather than being separated into your different groups. I thought it was great. The SEC pregame show beforehand, a lot of people showed up. They brought their signs. It was really exciting, and I would love to see the students, make a move to continue this on for games coming up.
I also enjoyed sitting behind the end zone. I thought that was just a really cool thing to have all of our students right there. I don't really like being in the corner at Vanderbilt Stadium, and I don't know why, but it just seemed like we could see the field a lot better from the end zone. So that's kind of a big change to make, especially because our stadium hasn't received any major renovations since the 1920s, but that would be a nice change too.
I agree. The behind the end zone was a cool change. So who knows? Hopefully, we'll continue over this excitement that we had in the tailgate over this game this upcoming weekend against UMass, which, by the way, we cannot call it Massacre UMass. There were some problems with the stickers that we had made. No longer, we're not going to use that term anymore. So
beat UMass.
Beat UMass is what we're going to do. So now we're moving on to our voice.
Voice of the people.
Voice of the people. Sorry, voice of the people.
This is Virginia Norder reporting for Sports Wired, catching up on people's thoughts about the Commodores.
Yeah, I think they've had a pretty rough start to the season, but they're a young team, and I think Derek Mason's probably a smarter coach than James Franklin was. Seems like he's got better schemes, so hopefully once he gets his recruits in here, he'll be doing better and be able to beat the Temples of the world.
I think it's been a rough start to the season, but I don't think it's anything that can't be overcome. We have a history of sort of being in these types of situations, and I think if we get our mind right, have some persistence, we can overcome it.
So I think it's been a pretty rough start to the season, but I don't think it's anything that we can't overcome. I mean, we are one of the youngest teams in our league right now. So all these boys are individually. We're also one of the most talented individually. So I think they just have to learn how to play together and play at the college level. But I think it will be a building year, but I think we're going to come out pretty strong next year.
The options are either win a game or win a game this weekend.
Go Doors!
I still have faith in the Vanderbilt football team. Go Doors, go Derek Mason, go America.
I think it's been a rough start, but it's definitely, they've got room to improve. They've got a good set of players. They just need experience and, I guess, establish, what route they're going to take for the rest of the season, and I'm looking forward, so go Doors.
Based on our performance in the past two games, I just don't really see us doing anywhere near as well as we've done the past couple of years.
Don't give up on them yet. Let's go out and support them Saturday.
They're good, and they just have to show that to us. So.
I enjoy the support and unity that it brings our school, even if we're having a not so great couple of weeks, our last two games, but we can still anchor down.
So that was that. That's our football team. That's how I feel about it.
I don't doubt that this rough start's just a short little obstacle in the long run.
Well, we heard the voice of the people here today at Rand. Back to you guys in the studio.
All right, now we're going to play one of our favorite games, Odds Makers. So we're going to send it over to Virginia at the whiteboard.
Hey guys, so here we are at Odds Makers. So our first question is, what are the odds that Steven Rivers plays the whole game against UMass? Amanda, what do you think?
I'm going to give this one a 34% because, Rivers did not look so hot in this game against Ole Miss this past weekend. 625 for 60 yards. He really was not giving us much, and it was a big change from the first game when Mason was switching around the quarterbacks the entire game, and yet Rivers didn't even play well for the full game, but he wasn't switched out. So I think now that once they see against UMass, they're going to use a little more of a strategy that they used against Temple, and whether they're winning by a lot or losing by a lot, hopefully winning by a lot, but I don't think they'll keep Rivers in for the whole game.
I am even less confident than Amanda, so I'm going to say 26%. On the depth chart earlier this week, we saw the rare triple or, which means that as starting quarterback, it said Rivers or McCrary or Robinette or Wade Freebeck, who has not been on the depth chart yet. So I think just having them all on the equal playing field on the depth chart just shows that they don't have confidence in a single quarterback. So I feel like we're going to try a few this week.
Sounds like it'll be a quarterback shuffle. Okay. So what are the odds? Well, our defense hasn't been doing too hot. What are the odds they get an interception against UMass? Allison, you go first.
I'm going to say we have a 60% chance of getting an interception. In my mind, it's one of those things where the odds are in our favor. We haven't had one yet, so eventually, a quarterback is going to slip up and maybe leave a pass up there, and we're going to grab it. So 60%.
I agree. I'm going to be optimistic as well, but I'm going to say 75% because, even though our defense has been kind of pitiful in the past few games, I think, I'm really hoping that we'll get a big push this game and take off for an awful.
Okay, sounds good. Maybe our defense will pull it out. So our final question is, what are the odds that Colby Cook, our kicker, is our best player by the end of the season?
I'm going to say 20%. Not that I don't believe in his abilities, but Cook is a punter, and I would really hope that some of our other players will step up. I mean, at the rate it's going, I don't know. He could end up being our best player, but I'm going to stay hopeful once again and say that I would love to see one of our other players, most of our other players, step up.
I agree with you. I'm going to say there's a 15% chance that Colby Cook will be our best player at the end of the year. I think that in terms of consistency, he probably will be our best player, but at the same time, not many people refer to their punter as the best player. So I'm hoping that maybe we find an answer on the offense and they'll take over as the most consistent player.
Well, it looks like I think Amanda won this one.
Woo. Thanks, Virginia. All right, next we're going to move on to women's soccer. Not so great in the big state of Texas. We played Rice and North Texas this past weekend. Started off with a 2-1 loss against Rice. Senior Sherelle Jarrett headed in a goal off a free kick by Jamie Cantor in the 37th minute, which was great. We scored first. It was looking good, but we really could not shut them down in the second half. And when the game went into overtime, there was nothing we could do. And Rice outshot us 17-10, which is, a disappointing statistic. I mean, really, and also 10-6 in the second half. If we want to, be beating these teams, we really got to get our shots up. We've got some great forwards in sophomore Simone Charlie, and she should really be shooting more, I think, if we want to have a chance, against more teams.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like this is just something we see from the soccer team a lot. They have a few really good games and looks like their season's going to be really promising, and then they tend to fall apart a little bit. But I think that they have some more opportunities to pick it up.
Right. As you're saying, I think that, might be a result of just the passion, the drive they need to have in order to win. I mean, they lost, once again, 1-0 against North Texas, who, although they're undefeated, are, I think we could have beaten them. Not particularly known to be particularly well for their soccer team. We really just needed to come out stronger in the first half against North Texas. 1-0, once again, we only had 4 shots on goal, and we usually leave it up to Simone Charlie, who did have 2 shots on goal, 1 off the post, but we need our other forwards to step up as well and really have that passion and drive to score. So, we have a game coming up this Friday against Lipscomb. Hopefully women's soccer can pull it off. We'd love to see them do well. But
and talent's definitely there.
It definitely is. Our freshman was the number 1 in the SEC last week. So
yeah, Shiroka.
Exactly. And next we have women's lacrosse just joined the Big East, which is a change up from what we had before.
Yeah, we were previously in the American Lacrosse Conference. We're hopping over to the Big East, where we'll be joined by Georgetown, Marquette, Villanova, Temple, Cincinnati, and UConn. So it's comforting not to see some of those women's lacrosse giants in that conference, like Northwestern and Maryland. So maybe we'll have a better shot this year against these opponents.
Who knows? Maybe this could just be the kickstart that we need. I know lacrosse has been disappointed in their performance in the past. Never really expected much of them, but a new conference could be a new team, new season. So we wish the best of luck to those ladies. And of course, football team competing this Saturday. We're all looking forward to this weekend. So with Sports Wire, this has been Amanda Martulio and Allison Mast. Thank you so much for tuning in to our all-female version of Sports Wired.